today, obviously Kenny Krum. If you guys watched the video that I did on the '08 indictment, Kenny was caught up in that indictment and ended up getting just absolutely blasted with a sentence for standing tall and just taking it to trial. Tell us about the indictment.
Well, in 2007, they indicted 14 of us. They said they were all Aryan warriors, and they weren't. Uh, they came swooping in. There was 10 that were already incarcerated, and 4 of us that were on the street. I was on the street at the time. They came and swooped us up, helicopters, everybody, and for the first 3 days, they held the 4 of us in Northtown without didn't let us have access to TVs, phones, or anything. And then because they knew that I knew stuff and would have been able to hold everybody together without everybody breaking and telling, uh, they moved me because they were moving Dano over to Northtown, and he knew I already knew that he was a rat and was going to get him. So we went. At first, we said either everybody takes it to trial or everybody takes a deal.
Right.
And as the months went, they sent me to Arizona to separate me and make it look like I was a rat. And I just kept telling everybody what I sent my lawyer back to tell everybody, hey, just hold it out and wait till all the discovery comes out, and you'll all see who's telling and who's not telling. And if anybody's got a problem, just go to trial, and I'll see you in the cages. But they started one by one dropping off, telling Dano and Corey hurried up and took deals because they knew all the stuff that was fixing to come out on them. And but pretty much everybody but the 5 of the 6 that went to trial stood strong. Mike Yost, Jimmy Wallace, Charles Gensimer, Rob Young, me came out of trial that Ronnie Jones had told on a murder in New Mexico when they sent him out of state, when they sent a bunch of dubs back in the early 90s out of state.
Right. When
So,
they tried to.
yeah, they sent him and Eddie Eckert to New Mexico. They sent they sent Jimmy Russo out, but he ended up telling, but he'd been telling since Ely, since the late '80s, and nobody knew. And it all came out of trial. I mean, we had over 100 people testify against us. It was just a mess. And most of it was really nonsense, the stuff that they were saying. But I mean, you know what it is. So if you're in that lifestyle, you know what it is. If you get rolled up in it, you just shut your mouth and try to fight it.
Absolutely. Joey and Gargoyle both got. Did they get life sentences on that one?
No, Gargoyle got 35 years, but he already had 66 in the state. He told us, he goes, "Hey, I can sign this deal, but I'm never getting out anyway. I've got so much time in the state. So it doesn't matter to me. I'll go to trial with you guys." And we're like, "Yeah, okay." I mean, he ended up standing all the way up. I mean, and then they killed him at Ely, not about 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Uh, but even though he was a nasty predator homosexual, he was solid. He was solid. But a lot of the old heads had bad boys back in the day. But
Yeah, I've heard.
I helped write that out, man. That's no longer allowed.
That's the way it's got to be. You've when it comes to what it is, what if you're going to be a part of something like that, the standing up for being a stand up man, gentleman gangster, doing what you're supposed to. Like you've really written the book on it, and it's ugly out there now.
It is, and it's ugly inside. And if anybody is watching that's thinking about joining anything, don't do it. Don't do it because really, all you got is you. At the end of the day, you think that these dudes are you're down for everything with you, and then you're part of something. Let it get rough and see how quick they turn.
Or go to the feds and end up at Bloody Beaumont by yourself, standing
Yeah,
tall.
yeah. I mean, I went. I was everywhere, and I pretty much ran every place I was at. And it's not because I wanted to. It's because when you carry yourself like a man, and the other races respect you, they pretty much say, yeah, it's you regardless.
Yeah.
And then when it is, every time you make a decision, you're going to have at least one person mad at you. So it's a no-win. It's a no-win situation. And the feds isn't like the state to where you can have number and control some stuff. The feds, you can't. There's people from all over, and they have all the states are different.
Yeah.
And these dudes are just scumbag dirtbags.
Right. And we wouldn't run under anybody's program.
Never.
Basically saying, you do what you do over there, but
Yeah.
you don't rule us. And it's costed, and it costed you ended up getting caught up in it.
Yeah,
Really.
I got stabbed by two guys because they were drinking on the tier and had their quart bottles right in front of the cops, and a lot of people had stuff going on. And if the compound comes, they're just going to tear everybody's cell up and take their little things, and you're going to lose all your stuff. So I just told them, hey man, what are you doing? We don't do that here. Go back in your cells, enjoy yourself or whatever, but don't be doing that out here. And then they went to the first, they were like, oh man, I said, if you guys got a problem with it, we go to the cell and we can figure it out. And they're like, no, no. I said, well, it ain't that big a deal. Just go to your cell, have a nice night, and I'll see you in the morning. Well, I
Right.
guess they got all weird and thought that I was going to have them hit or whatever. And I'm watching the football game, and I see out of the corner of my eye, I stand up just in time to I got blasted. I got the dude. I had immobilized the knife, and he had a lanyard on. I'm trying to pull the knife away from him. I don't even thinking about the dude who comes up and hits me 7 times and punctures my liver. It
Mm.
drops me. I take the one dude down. Thank God the dude who actually stabbed me all them times, who came up behind me, thank God he was a coward and took off running because he was scared, because the other dude was a killer. The other dude was about it. And I knew if I let go of that knife, man, it was bad news.
And
But
you are not a slouch by any means.
oh
Uh,
no,
you
I
are
had
that
the dude. I
guy. You
was
are a dog.
Yeah,
So.
I had the dude. I told him, man, I'm fixing to kill you. And
Hmm.
but it is what it is. Anybody can get caught slipping.
That's
And
it.
it is what it is. And I told because people were trying, well, because the guy who ended up hitting me in the liver and taking off running, he ended up getting killed at Beaumont later on. But I used to tell people, they're like, hey man, we run across, I said, hey, that shit's personal. They're not rats. They're still white dudes. They're not fucked up dudes. They did a fucked up thing, but they're not child. They're not rats. It's a personal thing. If I see them, you know what it is. They know what it is. But don't feel like you gotta stick up for me. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I can handle myself. And
Well,
I
I'm
ain't
just
never I ain't never been no coward or needed people to fight my battles.
not once. I mean, you took 25 years to the face, standing tall when everybody else, like you said, I believe Corey was the first one to take a deal, like, and he got 16 years.
Yeah,
That's
but
not.
the only reason he got 16 years, ac- actually he got 13 or 14 years, but he had 310 to lives in the state. So he had to sign for more than that. So they would parole him to the feds. Because if you have a sentence in the feds, the state will automatically give you your first parole, will parole you to any sentence you have behind that, that's over that.
Yeah.
So he knew he had to sign for more than that, because if he didn't, he would have been in the state and they would have 5 year dumped him to death.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what Dano did too. He had 15 to life in the state, so he signed for 16.
Wow. Did you see what's going on with Dano now?
Caught another murder
Yeah. And the state somehow.
in Colorado.
Yeah, it's a state charge, though.
Man, he caught one there before, and they gave him like 17, and he got out in like 2.
Huh.
Because I'm still in contact with the woman who has 2 of his kids. She hates him, but I mean, I've known him since he was a kid, and everybody was like, he never has been all that. I mean, we're from the same neighborhood, for
He
God's sakes.
he didn't. He wrote a book, right? That's where he didn't testify against anybody, did he?
No, they didn't call him to, but him and Corey were on the list. They had the 10 guys that they had X'd out, but my lawyer knew the DA, and they leaked 3 of the names, and Corey and Dano, because they only called 7 of the 10, because they waited right till trial, right before trial, and they gave us the witness list. And
Right,
there was
because
like
they said for the safety of.
right. So they had like 107, 109 names, something like that. A lot of names on there. But every like 8th or 9th name, they would just have XXX. And they told us they couldn't give us the names because those people would be killed. So we didn't have any discovery. We had no way
Hmm.
to know what was coming. And then they would just call them and they would just come in. I mean, I had a guy testify against me that I'd never met in my life. And he said that we did robberies and murders and all kinds of nonsense together. And he even knew the layout of my house and the dogs' names, everything. It was crazy.
What the hell?
Yeah, because
Um,
they feed them all this information. The feds just, if they caught somebody doing a crime and they said, "Hey, do you know the Aryan Warrior? Any Aryan Warriors?" They, "Oh yeah, okay, we'll give you all this time off."
right, and
Come on, man.
it's sent for a mad scramble. Really, I know Joey hit Guy right
Yeah,
in February.
because it came out, we got the first wave of discovery, and in there, guy had told on an escape plan in Reno County Jail
Hmm.
back when he was caught his case that he went to prison for. And you can't find Guy anywhere. He's disappeared off the face
Uh,
of the.
he's
You
passed.
can't find Michael Calabrese anywhere.
Nope.
Nowhere.
Nope.
Nowhere. I've tried and tried and tried, and it's not.
Guy passed away. His son got a hold of me.
Oh, is
And
that right?
yeah, that he had died of health issues. You know.
Man, I hope it was extremely painful. Extremely.
I bet. I bet. Uh,
I never liked that dude anyway, man. I mean, I never
right.
liked him at Ely. I sent him a kite and said, "Hey, man, why don't we just sell up?" And he didn't want to sell up.
Hmm. Hmm.
But he's not even like really white. I mean, he's white, but he's from Baltimore. And if you ever heard him talk, because I was on a tour with him at Ely for 6 months, and I thought he was black.
Wow.
Just listening to him talk out the door, and then when I finally saw him, I was like, "What?"
Wow.
Yeah, they were like, "Hey, we got a brother. You got a brother down there in that cell," and I'm like, "What are you talking about? A black dude lives in that cell." And they're
Hmm.
like, "No." I was like, "Oh my god, who picked him up?"
So you get out finally. Finally. Uh, we're everybody's waiting. You get out. Now you're living the good dream life. So for what it is, after going through all this craziness.
It was rough. It was rough. The first 6 months were extremely rough. I had a lot of panic attacks. I couldn't like go to a store because people would like look at me, and I was all paranoid, and I had a tough first 6 months,
Mm.
but it is what it is, and I knew that I really I had to move out of Vegas. Not that there aren't a lot of people out there I care about, because there are.
And a lot care about you too.
Yeah, but for my personal, you know, eh, I had to leave because I'm too comfortable there, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of people there that I know that I would eventually probably run into, and I can't let some of the stuff slide. I just can't.
Right. And that's a big thing. I left Vegas after my last parole. I just came back to Vegas like a month and a half ago. And it's
It ain't the same either, man. I was like, what the hell? It really is, and all these people out there just cutthroating each other. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've done a bunch of shit that is cool, but you know what? Not to friends.
right.
Not to friends. If I call you my friend, if me and you walk out the door tonight together, I don't care what goes down. If you start something or what, I either get you out, we fight and win, or they take us out in an ambulance or body bag, man. Because I chose to leave with you, so I
Yeah.
have an obligation to ride with you.
Our generation is the last of the Mohicans, it seems like. Even getting back here, people that were super solid, and I'm finding out that they're not any longer. And
Which makes you wonder: were they really ever solid?
they seemed like it for sure.
You know,
It's, uh,
it's
it's like you said, it's so cutthroat out here. Um, I, I go back and forth. I'll go to California. I'll go
yeah.
to
I
yeah,
see you all the time posting pictures in front of wherever you're at.
yeah. So I try to. I have my local group of friends that I still talk to, a lot that I've cut off that have changed, a lot that have died.
Yeah, I've had since I came out. I mean, at my wedding, there's 7 people who came to my wedding that are dead, and that was less than 3 years ago.
That is insane.
And they're dropping like flies. I mean, Ricky's dead.
Yeah,
I mean, all
I'm staying in Ricky's room right now.
yeah.
That's
There's just no future in it.
no. I mean, Ricky is a perfect example of it. You barely got out by the skin of your teeth, and you are doing absolutely the best with it. Uh,
Yeah, I've been clean for 17 years now.
and that's amazing too. When it comes to the drugs, and now the Fetty and the
Oh yeah, that
horrible.
yeah. It would eventually, eventually because I my drug of choice was always more. You know,
Mhm.
and it didn't matter. And I was a pig, and I wouldn't. I'd almost for sure be dead by now. Almost for sure.
Yes, men like you, even men like me, we come back to Las Vegas and it's readily available whenever we would like. Uh,
Yeah,
but
I
it's
know
been
everybody, every race, everybody. I mean, it's not like I can't just go and people won't give it to me.
right in mass quantities, but
Yeah.
uh, it's easy to stay away from once we've been away from it for so long.
Yeah,
Uh,
the more times you say no, the easier it is to say no.
yeah, and the less people ask you.
Yeah, unless they really don't care about you and they know you're clean, and then they'll if they really, if they act like they're your friend but they really aren't, and trying to trip you up, they'll try to ask you if you want to get high. But if I know somebody's doing good, I would never do that to somebody. That is, man, good for you, man. If you've gotten clean and you're trying to, live a life that doesn't involve all kinds of drama and nonsense. Absolutely, man. I'm more power to you.
The more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.